A major security failing is gaining national attention. It turns out that one of the San Bernardino killers wrote about violent jihad on her social media accounts for years. And yet our visa screening process never even bothered to check these sites before giving her the green light to get into the country. We've got expert analysis from former State Department official Christian Weissmann and cyber expert Greg Keeley, a former senior advisor to the House Foreign Affairs Committee chairman. Christian, I'm going to start with you. I got to tell you, you want to get a job on the intelligence report, someone here is going to be checking your social media account. They're going to look through it to make sure you are who you are and, make sure you're not one of these. I mean, this is unbelievable to me. If you were to go and apply for a job anywhere in the United States of America, they'd check your Facebook, they'd check your Twitter. This is part of what they do. They want to make sure you're legit. But our own government doesn't do it?
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. Eventually, we're going to have to contend with jihadists that don't confess their beliefs and their plans publicly. But as long as they do declare them publicly, then we've got to take them for what they say and exclude them from the United States. I don't actually blame the visa processors, the consular officers at the State Department, because the message from on high has been to ignore this out of political correctness. If we don't have a president...
You just said they want to ignore it out of political correctness?
Yeah, so if you don't have a president who can name radical Islam or the Islamist political ideology, then you can't screen that out. If it would be as if during the Cold War we weren't allowed to ask people if they were members of the Communist Party or check public lists of known communists. We've really tied the hands of our own consular officers behind their back by not naming the ideology that animates jihadists.
Christian, we know that there are people out there that want to kill us. We know that they might try and get into the country. They've said as much, and they have, in fact, with this woman done so. And yet, we still... Is this going to change? Do you think that they're having these conversations within the State Department walls right now, given what has just happened in San Bernardino?
There has been some discussion that, gee, maybe we should, because there's also a case to be made not to look at social media, that might be a distraction or a method of deception by real terrorists. But I think there will be some sort of change to that. But the idea that this administration is going to find religion, if you will, and start screening out, adopt a policy of opposing Islamism globally, whether it's ISIS on the battlefield or whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood that works for political subversion.
And that's the issue that's so tricky in this environment right now. I mean, this is what Donald Trump is confronting, of course, Christian, when, he's saying he wants a temporary ban on Muslims coming into the country. That's very much a sticking point because we are a nation that believes in religious freedom. Greg, back to social media for a moment. Is there any responsibility here on behalf of the social media companies? I mean, are they doing anything when they see this extremism online, when someone's talking about jihad and the desire to kill Americans? Do they report that at all?
Right now, Trish, no, they don't, and there's nothing that forces them to do so. The issue with social media right now is they have as we've talked about immediately after these attacks and the terrorist attacks in San Bernardino, they have the capability to see that information. They do see it, but they really don't adhere to the if you see something, say something mantra, because they're worried about offending people. And to me, that's not good global citizenry, and it's certainly not good citizenry for an American company.
Well, they too want to be politically correct in this environment right now. We saw Mark Zuckerberg come out with his statement saying, look, we're an open community. You can be assured we're not going to have any hate talk against Muslims. But he hasn't really done the same. And we had a woman on the program just the other day who had her account blocked, shut down for 30 days because they perceived her as being hateful to the Muslim community because she had posted a clip in which she said, right here on this show, she said that she didn't think Syrian refugees should be coming into the country. So there is this sort of sense within the social media community that you got to protect one group, but not necessarily a sense, Greg, in your view, that you need to protect the homeland?
Absolutely. And look, Trish, I'm an immigrant to this country. I immigrated here 10 or so years ago, served in the United States Navy. I'm certain that they looked into every aspect of my background. Maybe social media wasn't an issue back then, The fact that it's being reported now that the DHS Secretary Johnson has banned his officers, to Christian's point, has banned his officers from looking at social media as part of the vetting process, I find astonishing. I mean, how can he, a man charged with protecting the homeland, that's his job, that's his one job, he's charged with protecting the homeland, how can he not give his officers every single capability that they have at their disposal? I mean, they couldn't even check Google Maps to see if the place that she listed as a residence, this Malik terrorist listed as a residence, was actually an apartment building or not. And it's not.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
I find it extraordinary.
I do too. Christian, is it going to change?
No, I think you need a new president to change this. You know, President Obama made a few minor statements about Islam when he was addressing from the Oval Office last week, but it's sort of like trying to get half pregnant. We need a new president to fundamentally change the direction, confront Islamism and jihadism, differentiate it from Islam, the religion, and they are two different things, and profile people based on their beliefs, frankly, if they're anti-American and violent, and where they've traveled.
Well, you should know if they're anti-American, if they are actually coming out and saying it right there on their Facebook or social media accounts, that should be a warning sign. Thank you so much, Christian and Greg. Good to have both of you here with all of that analysis.
Thanks.
Coming up, everyone.
Thanks, Trish.